thing screams on 3S. I can't wait to get 6S on it. X445. Nah. 8S on the 42. The 24 will strictly just run it stock as it is, and basically just have some fun with both of the boats. I wanted to show you guys what to do pre-run flex cable greasing. I want to show you guys how to properly remove your flex cable and strut from the boat so you can grease it, and just a couple of things to kind of look out for on the boat each time you take it out. So stick around, don't blink. Big B here with Ironclad RC. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Ring that bell to get notified for future builds, future projects. As always, thank you guys for watching. Once you uncouple your flex cable at the collet, then you want to follow your flex cable to the back of the boat, to the stern, and you'll find your strut, which is this guy right here. There's two bolts, 4mm bolts, holding it in place. You want to go ahead and take these two screws out completely, so you'll be able to drop this strut down and pull your cable out. This is a stepped down 1/4 inch to 3/16 flex cable, so you're going to have to pull this whole strut completely out of the boat so you have access to the cable. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get these two bolts out. In your boat box, your toolbox, I would definitely keep a couple of extra nuts in there and extra screws the same size in case you lose one when you're adjusting your strut up and down out at the pond, at the lake. I tend to lose screws all the time, so just a little word of wisdom from the wise. Once you have this strut loose, you'll be able to pull it down and out. Now be careful when you're pulling your strut down and out, because this boat does have flex, and that is an extra large cable, so when you pull it, you're actually going to put pressure on the bottom of the boat, so you want to be careful and pull it out like so. Now I've already loosened up this brass bushing, and from the factory, I think a lot of guys are having a hard time getting this out. That's why I wanted to show you guys how to pull the whole strut assembly out all in one piece, and then you'll be able to actually work on getting your bushing out. You don't have to take this drive dog off and propeller off every time you grease the boat, but I'm just showing you guys how to do this. And once you get your propeller off, you'll see your drive dog, which is what holds the prop in place, and your strut bushing. Alright, the more you take these drive dogs on and off, they tend to wear out rather quickly. Another tip, be careful with your drive dogs. Be super careful with them. They will strip out. They will strip out on you. They wear out very easy. The threads on them are kind of sensitive. There's a lot of force being put on this thing back here, so if I had to recommend any extra parts for your boat, the one extra part I would recommend you get is a couple of extra drive dogs. Those things, I've had them snap. I've had them snap in half with big propellers on them. I've had them come off of my flat spot and strip out, basically round off my flat spot. I have to follow down a new flat spot, so I'd recommend getting a new drive dog. Have one on hand so you guys can have a good day out on the water. If you don't want to take your drive dog off, you don't have to. You could actually get some grease, put it on your finger, and basically just kind of get it in those holes. Fill those holes up with grease the best you can. I use Grim Reaper speed grease. It's kind of hard to find now, but I really like this grease right here. So you basically just want to fill those holes with grease. Just pack them jam-packed full of grease like so. You see? Just kind of filling with grease the best you can. Now you don't need grease on the outside of this bushing. This bushing is supposed to stay in place once it's in the strut. So you want to wipe off all that extra grease. Just kind of put it on your shaft so you don't waste it on a paper towel. Alright, so as you can see, this bushing's packed full of grease. See that? And that should be enough for that strut. Now every 5 or 6 packs, I would take off your drive dog and just kind of inspect the shaft, put some extra grease on there, and then reassemble the whole cable. You want to Loctite this into place. I use blue Loctite on the actual shaft under the drive dog, and I use red on the actual grub screw itself. So like I said, you just want to pack it full of grease like so. I do this every single time I take my boats out. It could be a little pain in the butt sometimes, but I would rather do this and save my cables than not do it and break a cable, seize a cable up, and cause all kinds of damage. It's very easy to do, especially if you're running in any type of water that has a high salinity content. Brackish water, you definitely want to take your shaft out and grease it every time. Alright, so I've got grease all over it. We're going to reassemble it. And all you do to do that is put your strut on the bushing like so and push it into place. Alright, and then you slide your flex cable back into the stuffing tube. There's a liner in there as well. Like so, and then you just slide it right back into the mounting bracket. I would definitely have you a couple paper towels on hand so you can wipe your hands off. And that's it. That's how you grease your stuffing tube. Grease up the cable so that you don't burn up a cable, break a cable, seize anything up. Always make sure you got grease on your boat. Always. It's probably the most important maintenance tip I can give you guys. Once you get it back into the strut, you want to make sure your strut and the bushing is perfectly flush so that the drive dog looks like it's sitting right on the strut itself. You see that? If it's not and your bushing is sticking out like that, once you have it bolted up, then you got something going on. I would check the length of your cable. I would also check and make sure your bushing has slid into the stuffing tube correctly. If it doesn't, then it won't go all the way in, and it'll look something like this once you have it bolted up into place. Alright, I'm gonna start this boat off today running a Proboat Sonic Wake propeller. I'm just curious to see how it does with this 1.7 1.6 pitch. It is almost the same. It has a little bit more pitch, I believe, and the blades are a little bit longer, has more rake. So interested to see how the boat performs with this propeller on it. We might do some drag racing with this boat. Just have some fun on 6S with this huge nitro propeller. This is the stock propeller, and this is the actual like a huge nitro propeller. Running. Drag boat. So we're gonna have some fun, see what this thing will do with a huge propeller on it on 6S. I wouldn't recommend using a propeller this large. With 8S, you're gonna tear something up. So, and if you do use a propeller of that size, make sure you do it carefully, and like I said, just kind of have a little bit of fun with it. Take it off and put a normal size propeller back on. We're gonna have some fun. That propeller has a lot of low end torque. Go. We're gonna start off with that, and you just want to put your 2 lock nuts on. Make sure you put both of the lock nuts on. Don't just run one, because you could lose a $20 propeller. Get your strut bolted back into place and tightened up very tight. These are nylon nuts. If you feel that the nuts are easy to go on and off after you've pulled the strut a few times, I would go ahead and replace your nut so it don't back off. You see that nylon? That nylon actually wears out over time. So another little word from the wise. Over time, because it does wear down, wear off. Alright, we're going to get them tightened back up here. Like I said, before you tighten it all the way down, make sure your cable's pushed all the way up into the collet. And I would recommend, before you pull off your strut, I would recommend like making a mark. If you like the way the boat's riding at this position, you can get like a pick tool or something, or a marker, and make a mark where your strut is, and that will keep the position for you. I like to move mine up and down, and unless I find like a sweet spot, then I'll mark it. But a little tip for you guys: once you have it all tightened back up and in place, you want to come up here and tighten this collet down. Now I tighten my collets down German tight, guten tight. I mean, I get them tight as I can without stripping these threads. You want to get it tight. You don't want this thing to slip. If it's slipping in the collet, it will cause unnecessary heat and a loss of power. So make sure this is good and tight every time you take it out. Once you get this bushing broke loose from the factory, you don't have to pull your strut every time. You should be able to just pull out the flex cable like so, put a little bit of grease on it, and put it back in. Also, another thing you can do is use some Corrosion X on your receiver, just to add a little extra waterproofing. This is a great waterproofer. It works good for any type of electronic device. You can just spray a little bit in there. A little bit goes a long way. That's how you grease up your flex cable on your Blackjack 42. And it's basically the same way for the 24 minus pulling the strut out. My wife loves it. Thought she was about to hit me. Holy shit, I'm out here standing in the water. Thought she was gonna run into me. Won't be the first time. God, that thing's a rock. With the Blackjack 24, it's the same process, but the 24, you don't have to pull the strut. This boat, the bushing does not come out with the shaft. It's not a step down shaft. Well, it is, but it's not stepped down in the bushing. Wipe off your shaft, get the old grease off, and then grease it up the same way we did with the big boat, the big 42. A lot more room on this bench now with that big boat off. Golly, it's a giant boat. So we're going to throw this back in. Alright. You want to leave about, on this boat here, I usually leave about 2 mil in between the strut and the propeller. You guys see that? About 2 mil. And then I just tighten down the collet right here. Out of water, watch this. Almost full trigger. Look. Look at that, y'all. God, it just about jumps out of the water. Oh shit, she's a rocket with this big prop, y'all. Woo! I don't recommend doing this on 8S. Only use like a big prop on 6S. God almighty knows, son. That's a big nitro propeller. Woo! All right, let's take this prop off. I've had enough fun. Let's get a temperature reading. Angle of this strut down. A little more, try to keep her in the water. Our batteries are all the way up. All right. Yes, my wife's getting me wet. It's supposed to be the other way around. God, not again, man. I'm gonna ruin these batteries. Damn, 50, 54. Wait, 59, 59, 59. 59 with this M447 on it. 59, so that's the fastest I've had this boat yet. So I hope you guys could use some of these tips, some of these pointers that I gave you for your boat build. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Ring that bell to get notified for future builds, future projects. Thanks for riding with me, you guys. Big B with Ironclad RC. Channel where we tinker, test, and tune everything RC. We'll see you next time.